Welcome to Simulation Theory, Episode 0. This is the introduction to the book. Page 1 of the text reads Simulation Theory. Page 2 says Simulation Theory, Reality Has Become Science Fiction, which is the subtitle. And then it has the Dual Legacy Entertainment logo, which Cartoon and myself spent an entire night designing while listening to the song Crazy by Gnarls Barkley, CeeLo. And in the back, you could see a monolith with a moon and a whole bunch of other stuff. We spent a lot of intricate details are in that logo. And it was a very memorable time. It was one of my most enjoyable creation moments that I'll look back on. And Cartoon is a member of Northern Lights Nation, and we've collaborated with each other since 1998 over the internet. We met once in person, but we've been friends since 1998. And have collaborated on 10s and 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s of projects, at least 50 projects probably. And he has a wonderfully creative, artistic mind that meshes with mine. We're on the same page with a lot of stuff. So I really enjoyed designing that Dual Legacy logo. He's the primary designer of it. He did all the Photoshop and everything. But it was just a really good time collaborating on that. And Uncle Sal was part of the process as well. All right, the next page is the copyright page. It says copyright 2007 by Jonathan Lippe, copyright 2009 by Jonathan Lippe. Second edition, second printing. Illustrations and artwork by Dillinger K, cover. Talia Lippe, interior graphics and photography. Jonathan Lippe, interior graphics. www.jonathanlippe.com. www.simulation-theory.com, www.duallegacy.com. All rights reserved. No part of this publication may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, electronic, mechanical, photocopying, recording, or otherwise, without the prior written permission of the copyright owner. Table of contents. Chapters. Chapter 1, Simulation Theory. Chapter 2, Reality Has Become Science Fiction. Chapter 3, Education Suggestions. Chapter 4, Questions, Quotes, and Statements. Chapter 5, Dreams. Chapter 6, Creative Ideas You Can Use. Chapter 7, Solving the World's Problems. Chapter 8, Psychology John 01. Chapter 9, The Paranormal. Chapter 10, Message in the Movies. Chapter 11, Concluding Thoughts. The Appendix, Lyrics and Songs. Short stories, Earth Will Be Remembered, Through the Looking Glass by Uncle Sal. Advertisements, Dual Legacy, Uncle Sal, Jonathan Lippe, Mind Over Matrix, I Remember Choosing My Life. Acknowledgements. After reading this book, you should never be bored again. Thank you to my wife Talia for putting up with such a bizarre person and egging it on. Thank you for loving me, for me, and my zaniness. Thank you to my parents for loving and encouraging me to think and providing a wonderful life for me. Thanks for everything. Thank you to Premier Beverage for providing an enriching and encouraging working environment where my talents have been appreciated. Thank you to everyone in the Information Technology Department for the excellent discussions and friendships we've had during lunch that has evolved the way I think and grow as a professional. Also, thanks for being the most reliable and best super IT team. Thank you to my friends for listening. Thanks to Dillinger K for the long phone calls and not getting mad for the 15 minutes of voicemails a day. To everyone old school that I still talk to, Mike, Ryan, Matt, Dave, Albert, Alex, Andy, Doug, Jeff, Rick, Renzo, and everyone with Dual Legacy. Thanks to Uncle Sal for being my buddy my whole life. Side note, people probably like writing acknowledgments, but let me tell you, it's tough because you don't want to leave anybody out. And, so it gets rough there. If this is the only page you read, we have been presented a false and incomplete description of reality. The majority of what we believe to be real or true isn't necessarily accurate, even if millions agree. We are most likely living in a programmed physical reality like a video game, only much more advanced than we can comprehend, create, or understand with our current knowledge and perspective. When you radically examine the physical world from a non-science, non-religious perspective, you begin to notice it is programmed like software. You'll think about the scene in Matrix 2 with the Oracle, about everything having a software program governing it. Drop something and watch gravity cause it to fall. That program is always running, just like all laws of nature. I remember choosing my life in the afterlife dimension, so I remember where I was before I came here. This memory conflicts with the majority of reality most people subscribe to. Having this memory, it gives me a considerably different perspective of existence. If this world is a computer game, are we enjoying the best possible recreation? If things like nanotechnology and free energy exist, can't we provide abundance for all people on the planet? If we acknowledge techniques like artificial scarcity, why do we continue to allow it? Now, I'm not an advocate of socialism. I believe in totally free markets. But there is so much more that can be experienced in life than we allow ourselves to enjoy because of greed, planned obsolescence, barriers to entry, and artificial value on things for power. I've discovered is the majority of people think this is as good as it gets, and it gets a whole lot better. If people educate themselves on advanced technology that has been invented but not implemented, and the theoretical implications of nanotech, biotech, robotics, quantum theory, mechanics, and all of the advanced sciences out there, much different questions and assumptions of reality should come about, and we would question the many services and goods we pay for. It can all be provided for much less. As long as nations rely on other nations for resources, war will always result. The technology exists for each person to be energy independent. For some reason, this information is suppressed, and the majority of people actively keep themselves ignorant to it. If you only knew what exists right now, you would hopefully be insulted and blown away that the science fiction movies you've been watching for the past 50 years weren't entirely make-believe. We need free energy provided from the sun, wind, water, air, thermal, and other unlimited resources. Introduction. Welcome to Book 2. I wrote this book to leave behind as an artifact so I could find it in a future lifetime and also to use it as a reference during this lifetime. This is a book of ideas. Don't look for specific accuracies, only concepts. In time, the ideas in this book will not seem far out there anymore, but normal. When the first edition of this book came out, people said I lost them on the first chapter. If you find the first chapter hard to read, skip it. The entire book isn't written like that. I think the first chapter is important, but the writing style isn't for everyone. I want to thank you for your time you will invest in reading this. I did my best to give you a return on your investment. If you hold some fancy advanced science degree and think reading this is a waste of time, it's not. A lot of you guys don't know what to do with what you know or the implications of your knowledge. I'm saying you are a god. Go create. And yes, you can, Obama style. No dinosaurs or killer viruses though, please. If you have not seen The Matrix and What the Bleep Do We Know, see them. Each chapter is different. The book is a variety show. Supplemental material can be found at www.simulation-theory.com. You won't agree with every idea in this book. I'm not asking you to believe anything. I'm just asking you to consider the ideas. The agenda of this book and all that I do is to get you to think differently. Ponder. Ask questions. Question your beliefs. Consider ideas that do not have multi-million-dollar budget advertising campaigns to persuade you to believe their version of reality. Create your own. This is our world. Everything has been invented, but not implemented. Enter the Matrix. All right, so the back cover, the text on the back cover reads, Simulation theory explores the idea that we are all gamers inside of a massively multiplayer online role-playing game on Earth. Do you question the nature of your own existence? Do you think there is more to reality than what we have been told? Many questions about existence are pondered throughout the book. The book is designed to get the reader to question everything he or she has ever believed. After reading, you won't look at the world in quite the same way again. The second part of the back cover is about the author. So it says, about the author. Jonathan Lippe, 30 at the time. I'm 37 now. And that's for the second edition. Grew up and lives in Florida and makes his living as an IT professional. In his free time, he writes and creates videos to explain various phenomena of existence and his unique philosophies. He remembers choosing his life in what he calls the afterlife dimension and says his purpose on earth is to help people self-actualize and realize their importance and significance to this dimension. Lippe has published 3 other books: Postmortem Illness, 1996, I Remember Choosing My Life in the Afterlife Dimension, 2002, and Tales from 23rd Street, 2009. Now, if you try to find those, you won't be able to find them anymore because they were with Ex Libris. The only one I think available right now is Tales from 23rd Street. I discontinued Postmortem Illness, and one day I will release I Remember Choosing My Life in the Afterlife Dimension. I just need to update it and change the book cover and just kind of repackage it with CreateSpace. I just haven't had the time. The cover itself is a yin-yang symbol, which is one side Rosetta Stone, one side an Egyptian hieroglyphic with like an eye in the middle, which is kind of like an all-seeing eye, but it's a different kind of an eye. And then you have the moon and then a monolithic moon on the top and bottom of that. The background is a computer motherboard. And there was some other stuff we hid in there as well. This also was the disc artwork for Uncle Sal's When Worlds Collide album CD, like the actual disc. It looked like that. And we spent some time thinking it through. And like I said, there was a lot of info in there. What it symbolically means, the yin-yang is both polarities of life. And then the Rosetta Stone is all of the languages put together. The hieroglyphics just represents ancient knowledge. The moon is, and the monolith is, how in 2001, The Space Odyssey, there was a monolith on the moon. And then John Lear used to talk about the soul catcher on the backside of the moon. You live, you die, you go to the moon was the slogan on the Uncle Sal album. So that's that. Now, I published Simulation Theory initially in 2007. I was 28 years old at the time. It was an era before really YouTube took off and social networking, because I was writing it between the years 2002 to 2007. So this was a pre-internet era as we know it now. The World Wide Web existed, but not that many people were on the internet. Not that many people had computer literacy. Smartphones were only held by a few. In fact, the first iPhone was released in June 2007, and I'm not sure any of my friends had one yet. The inspiration from the book came from when I saw the movie The 13th Floor back when I was in college in the 90s. It's not so much that it gave me the idea for the book, but seeing that movie put into visuals what I had already suspected. When I came up with the line simulation theory, I thought it was really brilliant. A friend of mine actually came up with the subtitle, Reality Has Become Science Fiction, as a play on word for science fiction has become reality. I was explaining my philosophy back in college in the 90s. And after they interpreted what I said, they were like, wow, reality has become science fiction. The lens I even have to come up with this kind of concept is, as you may or may not know, I have memories of where I was before I came into the body that I have now. And I remember choosing my life in another dimension, and having these memories gave me a different lens, a different context, different approach to life as I've observed it. And it just seems that we live in an artificial reality, both societally as well as physically. My mission in life that I chose, it was part of the description, is to bring a concept to the world that will change the way humans view reality. Now, I don't think that concept is simulation theory. I think that the concept might be the actual memory of choosing my life, because if I chose my life, chances are you did too. And if you chose your life and all of us chose our lives, we're all here voluntarily. And if we all realized that and remembered that, then we would definitely change dramatically the way we organize ourselves, the way we live our lives, the way we spend our time. And that actually is the title for the next book. If I should ever write another book, the title of it will be Voluntary Existence, How to Transform Earth from a Lifetime Prison Sentence to an All-Expenses Paid Vacation. After I completed writing the first chapter, which stayed on topic for simulation theory, I became aware of Nick Bostrom, who is a Swedish philosopher at the University of Oxford. and he came up with the concept called simulation argument, I believe. And I was just thinking, well, this guy's probably developed this idea a lot further than I have. And I pretty much got explained the play on words that I wanted to use in the first chapter done. And so the rest of the book really was just a freestyle of everything else I had wanted to say in my life at age 28 that I hadn't already put in my first book, I Remember Choosing My Life in the Afterlife, to mention. I always like to feel unique and original. And when I saw he had kind of beaten me to the publication, I just kind of, I worked a full-time job. I didn't really feel like competing with a Swedish philosopher at the University of Oxford. And looking back, I should have developed the entire book as staying on topic as simulation theory. But the ability to do what we can do in present day wasn't there back then. So nowadays, I would have just completed the thought, published it as a complete staying on topic concept. But I'm kind of a all over the place jack of all trades. There's so much I want to express to the world, and I only had one shot at publication back then, so I just had to put everything into one shot. But nowadays, like I said, it's affordable to do as many publications as you want, and plus the internet's there, which I didn't have back then. I mean, the internet existed, but it just isn't how it is in present day. The more I learned about object-oriented programming and the concepts behind it, I began to realize that the universe could have been constructed in a similar fashion, which I do describe in the first chapter. People have been wanting me to either create a audiobook of simulation theory or put it into Kindle format. I might get to the Kindle at some point, but right now we're going to do the audiobook. This chapter here, this video is just the intro. That's why I made it episode 0. But episodes 1 through 10 will be on the chapters, and I'll probably provide commentary along the way as well. I released the second edition of Simulation Theory in 2009, and I did it through a different publisher. Initially, I did it with Ex Libris, but I didn't like their pricing structure, or basically I didn't like the options I had there, so I discontinued my publication with Ex Libris and re-edited the book somewhat and added pictures, because I could add as many pictures as I wanted with CreateSpace. CreateSpace is like the greatest thing to ever happen for someone like myself who's very creative. You could create books, CDs, and DVDs and Blu-rays and release them. So it's wonderful, and I've definitely utilized CreateSpace to get a lot of projects out. I have a CD called Mind Over Matrix. I did a DVD with a friend from Maine called Confessions of a Made Man, and we released over 20 CDs, 4 books, and we got more coming. And I will be reading the book in its entirety, and so it is true you could listen to the entire thing online, but if you'd like to purchase a paper physical copy, there is a link in the description below. The physical copy of the book just feels cool to have. It looks really neat, especially if you have it on your coffee table or even on your bookshelf. The spine looks cool. The cover, I mean, look at that cover. That cover is kicking butt. I love it. I love the cover. So I figured most people don't read anyway, but at least I wanted to give them something cool to look at and to have in their house. It's almost like it's cool just to own the book, even if you don't read it. So this edition that we'll be looking at is the 2009 edition. The 2009 edition, the second edition, is only in paper book format, whereas the original from Ex Libris did have a hard copy. That copy shouldn't be available anymore. The only copy you should be able to buy is the second edition soft cover. And to show how this book has impacted society, in 2007, when I initially put this out, just trying to explain the title to people were like, what in the world is this guy talking about? This is nuts. But now in present day, it's kind of like, yawn. Yeah, Joe Rogan already talked about that. And it's like, there's so many things Joe Rogan's talked about. And there are things that I've talked about prior to him talking about. And when Joe Rogan does it, everybody takes it as normal. When I do it, it's like, weirdo. But now in 2016, people don't ridicule me as much anymore. Now they want to listen. They want to know. And that's good. And, a lot of the things I had wrote about in the book that I wanted to have happen they all happened by the time I was completed writing the book. So it was nice. I kind of got what I wanted. And if you own a copy of the book and you've displayed it or had some of the magnets and displayed those, thanks for promoting my book. That's always meant a lot to me whenever I saw that around. There's some reviews on Amazon. People were disappointed with the book because I didn't stay on topic. And the reason why I didn't was in '07, people really didn't want to read a whole book on simulation theory. Now, in 2015, 2016, people do want to read a whole book on simulation theory. So it kind of shows how, social networking really has advanced us culturally, because, there's the Mind Unleashed and all kinds of different sites that advance awareness of, kind of futuristic like topics. When I use the example of Mind Unleashed, I'm just saying that's the first one that came to my mind. On your social network, you're always going to have the political activist buddy, the ufologist buddy, the conspiracy theorist buddy, and you're going to see all kinds of different angles of reality. Now, someone like me, it's like, yeah, I've seen all that, but your friends that aren't into all these topics, they also become exposed to them. And that initially they might think you're a weirdo, but when they get hit up with so much quantity of it, they then start to say, maybe my weird friend is onto something. So I'm not saying I'm exclusively responsible for the advancement of mankind, but it sure seems that a lot of the things I wrote about in simulation theory have permeated throughout society and have gotten people to accept a different version of reality and consider a lot of these ideas. And Ancient Aliens has done a great job as well of popularizing once weird topics. So discussing these topics and asking questions is a growing trend, and that's a healthy, wonderful thing. And if you look up anything on the internet now, chances are you're gonna find the conspiracy theorist angle in nearly all Google searches. So that's that. Even though it's probably disinformation, it's just good to see more voices out there. Society, better conversations. I don't need to talk about the weather, food, restaurants you've been to, other people, the news, celebrities. Let's talk about deep topics. It's so much small talk. I hate small talk. I rarely engage in small talk. I'm not interested in small talk. I'm interested in deep talk. And that's what the things that I create, but it's to give you that experience that you want to have deep down, that conversation, that deep convo about the things that we don't talk about in society. Most people, when they get to speak with me one-on-one, they're like, man, I love talking to you because I get to talk to you about things that, you can't talk to other people about. And so that's what this book is. It's topics that well, I do, but most people wouldn't speak out loud about or talk to other people about because they wouldn't want to be perceived as weird, which I'm trying to change that. I'd like us to have in society better conversations. I don't need to talk about the weather, food, restaurants you've been to, other people, the news, celebrities. Let's talk about deep topics. It's so much small talk. I hate small talk. I rarely engage in small talk. I'm not interested in small talk. I'm interested in deep talk. And that's what the things that I create, I try to have something deep about it because I only want to be deep. And I know others want to be deep. They just don't have others to be deep with. And that's how they could come and read a Jonathan Lippe book or watch a Jonathan Lippe video or listen to a Jonathan Lippe CD. But as I look right now, simulation theory is number 49,478 in science fiction books on Amazon. I guess that's cool. That concludes the introduction. Subscribe to this channel if you aren't already to be notified when Chapter 1 is uploaded and all other chapters. We will go through the entire book over time. I'm not sure how often I will narrate these chapters, but over time they will all be uploaded. Thank you for your time spent watching this episode 0, and I'll see you in Chapter 1.